Hi friends, welcome back. Today I'm giving you an update on how my knitting's been going. So grab a cup of something and let's dive in. Welcome back everyone. If you're new here, my name's Melissa and welcome to Knits and Stories. So it's been a few weeks since I've given you an update on what I've been knitting, so I thought I'd share what I've finished, what I'm working on, a little bit of a shop update, a little bit of acquisitions. So let's dive in. You will remember that previously I was working on a pair of Christmas socks. It's been kind of one of my goals this year is to knit a pair of Christmas socks every other month so that I have an additional 6 pairs to wear during the month of December. And I was previously working on a set with yarn called Christmas with My Nobies by Freckled Yarns. And as you can see, I have finished them. These are done. I do need to weave in the ends. I'm kind of bad about that, but I'll get them woven in. But they are both done. This was a super fun knit. They're vanilla socks. I knit them on a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle. I used 9-inch circulars. My go-to pattern is really just in my head. I knit an inch of 2x2 ribbing, and then I knit the leg until from top of my cuff down to the start of my heel is 7 inches. Then I do a heel flap and gusset, turn my heel. As you can see, I used a red mini that came with this sock set, and then I knit from my heel turn down until from my heel I get to about 7¼ inches, and then I switch to my contrasting color and start my toe decreases. So I finished that pair of socks, and then I also finished another pair of socks. This was not a pair that I showed you, but I had started, and they are my Advent socks by Freckled Whimsy. So I had started these at the beginning of December, like we all do, and then I got down to the heels. I did the heels, but then I got stagnant at picking up my gusset stitches. I just petered out and I switched to DK weight socks. So I have since, in the last few weeks, picked up those gusset stitches, completed my foot, and done my toes. So these are done as well. Freckled Whimsy has already released her pre-orders for her 2025 Advent socks. As of this recording, they're still available. You can get them on a number of different bases, including a DK weight base. As much as I enjoy knitting DK weight socks, I did opt for fingering because I was just afraid that I would be cutting it just a tad too close if I tried to do DK weight with striping. So these are done, and I'm in love with this color. I will say that the mini skein that I got did come with a set. So if you opt to order from Freckled Whimsy, just know that you have the option to get a contrasting mini or not. I always do, because as you can see, I would have never thought to pair burgundy with these bright poppy colors, but I love them. The next object that I finished was my Hibernal Hat, and this is the Hibernal Hat pattern by Summer Lee Designs, and this is in my Radiant Recovery colorway, and this is my Leukemia and Lymphoma Society colorway that I'm donating proceeds to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society now through May 21st. You can order this yarn yourself on my website. If you're not trying to feed your stash, I completely understand. You can donate directly. I am part of a team of dyers participating this year in support of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. This was a really beautiful hat. As you can see, it's got these gorgeous like faux cables. Let's see if I can put it on. I love a snug beanie. This one comes down and covers my ears. So it's a great, easy pattern. It went really quickly. I'm not a fan of cabling, so anytime I can get away with a cabled look that I love without having to actually do the cables, I'm here for it. So that concludes all my finished objects. Not a ton to go over. I do have a couple works in progress. I am being slightly monogamous with my knitting. I have been, if you watched my spring knitting plans video, you will have seen that I really, really wanted to cast on the Bonfire Tee by Samantha Guerin. I'm a huge fan of Samantha Guerin. She writes a really clean pattern, easy to follow, and she traditionally, for the last several years, has always published a pattern in the spring for a t-shirt design. And so this was, I think, the Bonfire Tee was last year's. And so I did indeed cast on my Bonfire Tee. I am knitting this on a US size 3 needle, and I am using Orange Crush as my contrasting color, and my main color is Intoxicating. As you can see, I'm a big fan of this pink color because I'm wearing it again today. I am using a cotton wool fingering, my Rising Tide cotton wool fingering, and I love the weight of this. Again, I love a cotton wool blend. Anything that combines an animal fiber with a plant fiber, I really enjoy those, particularly for spring, summer short sleeve wear, because wool wicks sweat, keeps you dry, and the plant fibers will help keep you cool. So I think cotton and wool is a really great combination. Cotton alone, it just, to me, feels sticky and heavy when you're sweating. And since I live in the Mid-Atlantic region, we get pretty humid summers. So my Bonfire Tee is coming right along. My goal is to have this done by the end of April. The Frederick Fiber Festival is April 26th. I have dyed a bunch of cotton wool fingering and DK, and I would love to have this on display because it's such a great tee. Obviously, I went really bold with my color choices. The pattern was done like in a taupey color and a blue, and I went for orange and pink. I love orange and pink together. I think they complement each other so well. I opted for the orange on the top because I can get away with wearing this shade of orange. I'm in love with this so far. I can't wait to get this on the needles. My other work in progress is another pair of socks. And this is one where I already had one sock done. And I struggled with completing the second one. So this is, again, just another vanilla sock. This is in the Norman's Justice colorway. And I had no problems doing this sock the first go round. I did the sock as a sample when I developed this colorway earlier this year. I think it was December. I developed this colorway to raise money in support of the rescue for my dog, Norman, who we were forever fosters for. He was really sick. And so again, thank you to everyone who bought this colorway. You guys definitely supported Norman in his final months to keep him comfortable. Sadly, we did lose Norman in February, late February. So as you can imagine, after doing a sock, I also did a hat in this colorway in a DK weight, but I just could not pick up the yarn to do the second sock. And I have finally kind of reached a point where I can realistically pick up yarn and knit with this colorway again. So I did just that. Before I started my Bonfire Tee, I had moments where I was looking for something, I'd be really tired, and actually I think I had started the Bonfire Tee, but I had reached the color work portion. And there were just some evenings when I would sit down to knit after a really long day or just a mentally grueling kind of day that I really needed something really easy to focus with. And I had already finished my hat and I had already finished those other socks. And so I just was like, I need to cast on the second sock to something or finish a pair of socks. And a lot of the socks that I have in progress were at the gusset. So it was like, well, I just want to go around and around and around. So I did decide to pick up Norman's colorway and finish the second sock so I can have a pair of socks in this beautiful colorway. The colorway is not going away. I did get this far on a second sock in Norman's colorway. So I am at the round and round part on my bonfire. So I have since put this back down because I don't need it for a meditative knit. But I'm sure once I finish the Bonfire Tee and I have a night where I'm looking for something a little more meditative, I don't call it mindless because it's not mindless. It's still engaging my brain, but it's more meditative in nature. Or I might, like if we go out somewhere, I might take this with me in those instances. But for right now, the t-shirt is what's going everywhere with me. Now for some acquisitions. So I have had a little bit of yarn come in the mail. Obviously as a yarn dyer, I don't get a ton of yarn in the mail. I don't order very much from other dyers. I will get yarn from other dyers like when I see them, but I do get the Malabrigo quarterly subscription from Jimmy Bean Wools. And so I recently got in my package 3 skeins of this gorgeous silky wool in a colorway called Picnic Under the Trees. This is a custom colorway from Malabrigo. Silky wool is 51% silk, 49% wool. They're 50-gram skeins, and there's 150 yards roughly on each one. So I've got 450 skeins of this. I have gone ahead and ordered a couple more. I think I'm going to knit myself a summer tank with it. I think that would be really lovely. So they did send us an email, and I did order a couple more skeins. I could probably get away with just one extra skein, but one for insurance. So I'm anxiously awaiting for that to come in, and then I will probably cast on something with this. I think this is a really great color, and I think a tank top with this would make a really nice layering piece for various seasons. A few weeks ago, our guild had their annual yarn swap. It always takes place in April so that everybody can kind of clean out their stash and make room for when we go to Sheep and Wool and Yarncentrick in May. So I took some skeins, and then there's kind of this sequence for what order everybody gets to go. I don't traditionally look to bring any yarn home. I usually look at things like project bags, books, anything like that. That's really where I'm looking. But this year I did come home with skeins of yarn, but I already have pretty much project or ideas, concepts of plans in place. The first one, my friend Beth, I knew that this was coming to the swap, and I did locate it on the tables, and that is 4 skeins of Barocco Light in this color 6984. It is this beautiful tealy blue. I'm a huge fan of Remix. I know some people are not, but I am. And if you're not familiar with Remix, it comes in Remix Light, which is kind of, I think they call it a DK, but it's more of like a fingering sport weight to me. So it comes in a regular Remix, which they say is worsted, kind of a DK worsted to me. And then they make a chunky version of it. And it's all recycled materials. And so it's nylon, cotton, acrylic, silk, and linen. So this is definitely all man-made or plant fibers. So it is perfect for spring, summer, transitional weather type pieces. The reason I love it is you can throw this stuff in the washer and the dryer. So not quite as a sensitive fiber like wool, where we tend to hand wash things and block things. So I have 4 skeins of this now, and that's enough for me to do. And I have 4 skeins. There is 432 yards in each skein. So this is enough for me to do. It's enough for me to do a long sleeve sweater, which I'm debating between a long sleeve, like lightweight sweatshirty type sweater, or just doing a short sleeve t-shirt. I might be able to do a short sleeve t-shirt even in DK weight if I held it double. I think I have enough. I just need to peruse patterns and kind of really zero in on what I want to do with this yarn. But I love this color. I think it's a good color for me. So I'm excited to kind of see what exactly I want to make with this. And it may end up on the needles sooner rather than later. The other acquisition that I came home was actually 8 skeins. But they're 8 50-gram skeins of Farmer's Daughter's Recollect. I know who submitted this to the yarn swap. She wasn't there, but I know that it came from her stash. And I am really excited about this. I'm a pretty big fan of Candace and the Farmer's Daughter, and I've never worked with Recollect or Reminisce, so I was excited to see this. These are not necessarily my colors per se. I can totally get away with wearing them, but they are definitely more muted than I would typically gravitate towards. So I have 2 skeins of I've Got Dreams to Remember. This is a really dark blue. And then it has 2 skeins of Sunnies. This is kind of a mustardy yellow color. If you're not familiar with Recollect, this is 100% Rambouillet, but they split it where part of it is white fiber and part of it is black fiber. So it comes out as it has a gray base to it before they even dye it, which is why this yellow or this mustard looks so rich in color. So I've got 2 skeins of the dark blue and 2 skeins of this yellow, which is called Sunnies. And then everything else I have single skeins. So I have a single skein of Pretty Shield, which is kind of a rusty red. There is 1 skein of Willow Creek, which is kind of sort of a brownish red. It looks like there might be undertones of purple, but that could be the gray that's popping out. There is a skein of Chinook Winds, which is a gray. And then there is a skein of Dumpling, which is kind of this mauvey taupe color. So with 8 skeins of this, I kind of perused, got some ideas, and ultimately I have settled on Andrea Mowry's Stripes sweater. She actually used Recollect. Now she did also use she held 2 skeins of Odang Surrey silk in some of her stripes in place of Recollect. I did come up short for that sweater, and I would definitely lengthen it because even her full length version of that is still just a tad too short for me. So I went ahead and ordered 3 more skeins of Recollect directly from Farmer's Daughter. They haven't arrived yet. In 3 more colors. And I think between all the colors and all the yardage, I should have plenty of Recollect to do a striped sweater. So I'm pretty excited about this. I'm looking forward to working with it. And again, it's not necessarily colors I gravitate towards. Well, blue and gold I do. But these 4 colors I would, well, gray's the perfect neutral. So these are the 3 colors that I don't naturally gravitate towards. And I don't think I normally, I like yellow. I don't know that I normally gravitate towards this kind of yellow. So these are not in my natural palette that I normally would buy or wear, but I definitely have the coloring for them. And so the colors that I bought Ranch Romance, which is a really pale blue. I forget the names of the other 2, but I bought like a deep plummy burgundy, and then I bought a shade of green because I felt like those were kind of the colors that would naturally work with these, but that I naturally gravitate towards. So I think overall, they're all going to work for me. So that's all I got acquisition-wise. I don't normally, like I said, I don't normally get a lot of yarn in the mail. And of course, the yarn swap wasn't really in the mail, but it feels like free, exciting yarn. So let's move on to shop news, because we are getting into the season of new things happening in the shop. As many of you know, I have purchased a mobile trailer. I'll put a picture of it here. It is now branded, and I have been working my little hiney off to get it filled up with yarn. So it will make its debut appearance at the Frederick Fiber Festival on April 26th. This is a festival that happens twice a year in Frederick, Maryland at the Frederick Fiber Grounds, at the Frederick Fairgrounds. And this is a really great show. It has grown over the years. Many years ago, when I started as a dyer, the Frederick Fiber Festival was my very first festival. I was scared out of my mind. And if you met me at that very first show, you probably know it. It took place at the Frederick News Post, the newspaper building. Back when it was just a teeny tiny event. So Frederick has always been very good to me. I love going out there. This event happens twice a year, and the spring event is going to be Saturday, April 26th. So I can't wait for everybody to see what I've done with the trailer, besides branding it on the outside. And like I said, I have been dying my little heart out trying to get it filled with all the bases and colors that you guys love. Its second event will be Friday, May 2nd, I will be at Yarncentrick. This is a repeat event for me. I was not there last year, but I have been in all the other years previously. I will be outside at Yarncentrick as well, so I'm super excited to be back there to meet everyone. And again, I can't wait. If you are not somewhat local to Maryland and you're coming from out of state, I'm super excited for you to come and see me at Yarncentrick. So there are still tickets available for that. So please get your tickets. You can get them at the door, but I think the first time slot, if it isn't sold out yet, it's awfully close to being sold out. So go ahead and get your tickets and come see me at Yarncentrick. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was, again, the Lymphoma the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society yarn, Radiant Recovery. I will have this at both events, so you can pick it up then. And it is available on my website now through May 21st. So again, if you don't want to feed your stash, I understand. You can totally just make a donation directly to the cause itself. And that sums up what I've been knitting on and what's been going on. I would love to hear what you would do with the Recollect or the Remix Light. This is what I'm not struggling. Obviously, I have tons of choices, but I would love to hear what you would do with Remix Light. Have you worked with it before? Again, I love this stuff, but I'm curious, what would you make it, or what have you made with it garment-wise? I'm not interested in making a shawl or accessories. Again, I've got 4 skeins of this. It's perfect for a garment, and I am very much a garment knitter. So that sums it up until next week. Happy knitting, happy reading, and I'll see you next week.
Always think of you when spring comes, like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why. Always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat